The Soviet boycott of the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics remains one of the bleakest moments in gymnastics history. Many of the sports legends were denied the title of being an Olympian and the potential worldwide recognition that comes along with it. The results of those games will always have an asterisk due to the best gymnasts not being there, and the entire competition suffered greatly in their absence. The USSR was back and better than ever the following year for the World Championships in Montreal, where they again won the gold medal in spectacular fashion. Today we look at their routines from team optionals and celebrate the glory and splendor that is Soviet gymnastics. Всем привет! Меня зовут Wally, и добро пожаловать снова на мой канал. 2 or 3 years ago, I made a video where I went over the optional routines of the Soviets from the 1983 Worlds in Budapest. So I wanted to do the same thing except for the 1985 Worlds in Montreal. This team was stacked. Of the 6 team members, 5 of them were highly decorated. 3 of them were either former or future world all-around champions. You had the future inaugural Goodwill Games all-around champion, and you had the winner of the alternate games, the prior year in Olomouc, which some of us regard to be the true 1984 Olympics. And the 6th member was just as good, if not better than most of them. So I'm very excited to get into it. It's been a while since I've watched this, and I really want to analyze the routines, the lineup decisions. I have a possible conspiracy in what I think the coaches were trying to do in terms of all-around placements possibly. So let's just briefly go over the team. We had Olga Mostepanova, Natalia Yurchenko, Irina Baraksanova, Yelena Shushinova, Oksana Milyanchik, and Vera Kolesnikova. The Soviets won compulsory, so they started on vault. First up is Kolesnikova. She's going to do a layout Yurchenko full. Nice vault, just a hop back. Second vault, same one. Layout Yurchenko full. You can see she's a little bit piked down, but a pretty good vault. In 1986, Kolesnikova would actually become one of the first gymnasts to perform a double twisting Yurchenko. So she was actually quite good on vault. So for her to be first up just shows you the amazing depth of the Soviets. Up second is Baraksanova, and she's going to perform 2 different vaults. The first vault is just a Yurchenko layout, done perfectly, but it did not start out of a 10. I think it started out of a 9-9. Her second vault, she's going to do a layout Yurchenko full, but you can see she didn't quite have the amplitude, and she landed quite low with her chest down. And up next is Milyanchik. She's going to do a tucked Yurchenko full. Really nice landing. Of course, a tucked vault is easier than a layout vault, so this vault is easier than the layout Yurchenko full we saw from Kolesnikova. Here's her second vault, same one, almost a carbon copy. Maybe she got a little better amplitude on that one. So halfway through the lineup, if I was going to assess this, I would say that Kolesnikova probably is the best vaulter of these 3, but she was probably put up first to set the table and to get them off to a good start. Baraksanova was definitely the weakest link, and I think she was put up second to possibly hide her score. Next we have Mostepanova. As you can see, she's grown quite a bit since Budapest 2 years ago, and that's a layout Yurchenko full, allegedly. It's not as good as she did in Olomouc. She had to pike down a little bit. Second vault, same one. Again, you can see the pike down. I believe she had an ankle injury here, so that's why she had to take that hop back. Up 5th, this is Natalia Yurchenko. She is doing, of course, her own vault. Same one we saw from Baraksanova, just a layout Yurchenko. But she did that beautifully. And here is her second vault. Layout Yurchenko full. Also a bit piked down, a bit of a, steps out of the landing. Putting Yurchenko up fifth is interesting. I don't think she was necessarily the second best vaulter on the team, so it was an interesting decision. And of course, last is Yelena Shushanova, the European all-around and vault champion. She also does a layout Yurchenko full. You see how high she landed, or how high her chest was when she landed. Incredible vaults. She had too much power on it. Now, unfortunately, they cut off Shushanova's second vault. Let me see if I can find other coverage. So, thankfully to my BFF, Boban1611, he has her second vault. So, let's see what she did. Yep, she stuck with that layout Yurchenko full, but a better landing. Very nice vault. So the vault lineups, I think that Baraksanova probably should have been up first, and then probably Mostepanova, and then maybe even Yurchenko before Kolesnikova, Emelianchik, Shushanova. Yeah, that feels about right to me. Kind of was surprising that none of the girls really stuck their vaults. The highest scores were Shushanova got a 9.9 and Emelianchik got a 9.9. And fair, honestly. Moving on to bars, again, first step, Kolesnikova. Very unique mount. Of course, the bars here were still relatively close together, which made for some very exciting, interesting routines. There's her Tkachev, but she hit her heel. So this is where I definitely agree with Kolesnikova being up first. There was a double twisting dismount, and she was a little bit short on it. And surprisingly, or not really, somewhat surprisingly, Shushanova is up second on bars. You can see she caught that transition a little bit close. There's the Tkachev. Beautiful Ginger. Of course, she had a nightmare compulsories. She fell twice, and that's why she did not originally qualify for the all-around. Setting up for her dismount, one of the first to do that full twisting double back, and she stuck it cold. She actually was the first to do it as a junior, but then she was one of the first to do it as a senior as well. And Yurchenko is up third, which I think is not right. She should have been up later in the lineup. Watch this, she'll do gorgeous Tkachev to Delchev. So difficult. Hip circle, I love that to the Radakla release. Transition. This routine is so innovative, so creative. Watch, she'll do a belly beat to handstand. Giant. You can hear the crowd gasping. And then just a full twisting flyaway. Of course, she was capable of a double full. Amazing routine. She's much better than the fourth gymnast on bars. And here's Baraksanova up fourth. Nice free hip. She'll go back the other way into a Jaeger. It's a Stalder. Nice variety. Good swing. Nice free hip handstand. And she'll do a double pike. Sticks the landing. She had a bit of a leg separation, but otherwise a really strong routine. Fifth up, we have Emelianchik. She'll do free hip into her Delchev. Oh. And she fell, obviously. That is why she did not originally qualify for the all-around. But her toe point, you can see, is just beautiful. Even in home video. She has a couple of leg separations here and there on bars. But another double twist. Same as we saw from Kolesnikova. So very nice routine from Milianchik aside from the fall, obviously. And we have Mostepanova closing the show, which is an interesting choice. Stalder, Tkachev. I think she hit her heel. She usually did. It was hard to tell from that angle. You can see how much she's grown. It's incredible. Her gymnastics looks a lot more labored than it did in the past. There's her free hip front with a half dismount, and she stuck the landing. So overall, my thoughts on bars, I absolutely 100% think that Yurchenko was the best. She should have been up last. To see her only up third is soul crushing, honestly. I just don't agree. I don't know why Mostepanova was up last. It's probably her weakest event. It's the only event she didn't win in Olomouc, so it's very strange that she was up last. If I was in a deal lineup, I probably would have said Kolesnikova, Shushinova, Mostepanova, Baraksanova, Emelianchik, Yurchenko. That would have been my lineup on bars. I could even see Baraksanova up fifth instead of Emelianchik, in my perfect worldview anyway. But I don't know, like, Baraksanova is so underrated. Yurchenko's so underrated here in terms of lineups. They both should have been so much higher. And first up on beam is the Permalidov Vera Kolesnikova. Her series, 2 back handsprings to a layout step out, gorgeous. Beautiful form throughout, great height on that layout step out. Full turn and arabesque, beautiful. She is so pretty on this event. Split jump to a back tuck, into a back walkover. In case you didn't know, she is the mother of 2012 Olympic silver medalist Vika Komova, and you can see that Vika gets it from her mama in terms of the beautiful form and extension. The thing I love about this routine is Vera spends a lot of time working down on the beam. You don't always see that. It's very refreshing. Like this routine, the whole thing is a dream. It's a beautiful scale. Look at the toe point. All of a sudden, it's her dismount. Round off, tuck double back. Great height. Just a little low with her chest and should take a hop forward. But otherwise, a great routine. Shushinova up second again after she was on bars as well. Starting with that planche mount. Back handspring, layout step out, layout step out. I think if you had to pick a weak event for Shushinova, it would be beam. The routine that she did in 1985 Europeans was a little bit different to this routine, and I think it was much better. This routine, to me, doesn't have that wow factor that she would have when she added in the Rolfova. There you just see a Korbut. You know, obviously she doesn't have the same line that we saw from Kolesnikova. She's just not as pretty on beam. But obviously she's very, very solid. Very solid all-around gymnast. Another round off tuck double back, but she found that landing and stuck it perfectly. And again, Yurchenko is up third, and I am also so livid. But watch this mount. Round off, layout step out up to the beam. She was the first to do it. She did it in 1984. Gorgeous. Back handspring, layout step out. Again, the height. She's right into this back walkover, into a scale. And Yurchenko is just divine on beam. Look at that gorgeous switch leap, the height on that. She is so methodical. She takes her time. Beautiful full turn. She really shows off every element. And she has so much variety and innovativeness. Watch this Yurchenko loop. And she's one of the best to ever do that. She made the whole beam shake on the podium. So much force. I love her arms. Even watch here, she'll just, the way she just does that little turn at the end of the beam, that little half turn is just exquisite. Another round off tuck double back. Again, a little bit short, but not quite as big of a deduction as Kolesnikova, but obviously not as good of a landing as Shushunova, nor did she get as much height as Shushunova. And up fourth is Irina Baraksanova, and she is a treasure on this event. Round off back handspring. Notice her hands and her wrists. She is so sublime, exquisite artistic gymnast. And look at that. She back handspring into a Korbut, one of the highest Korbuts we've ever seen. It's all in the details when it comes to Baraksanova. There's a front aerial, the first one of those we've seen. Full turn into a kick. I love how she takes time to make eye contact. Here's another series, 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Gorgeous. Ugh. Oh, I forgot about this. Her trademark reverse planche. Beautiful. Into a hip circle around the beam. Oh. Her extension is so good. I love her so much. Oh. Divine. Another round off, tuck double back, but short on that landing. So unfortunate. The rest of the routine was so good. Oh God, that was marvelous. And up fifth is Olga Mostepanova. Of course, she is the reigning world champion on this event from 1983. And look at her line, her extension. Look at how locked out her knees are. Look at her toe point. Exquisite. And this is her trademark sequence. Of course, that skill would later be named for Henrietta Onodi. But Mostepanova was the first to do it. And I'm pretty sure she had a significant injury because she just does not appear as confident. As you can see on that back handspring layout step out, she was way off. And if you've seen peak Mostepanova, she does not make corrections like this. She is usually so confident, but this routine has just been a bit of a struggle bus. Another double tuck, and that's a better landing than it could have been. She did a good job of standing that up, but she landed a little bit low. And of course that means the anchor is Oksana Milyanchik, and who else could it be? This is her specialty. She is so divine on this event. Beautiful switch leap. She has so much originality and variety. 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Watch this, she's a full turn on her knee. Beautiful. Great amplitude on that jump. She is the full package on beam. Watch this, she'll do this pose and then she'll go right into like a split on the beam. This whole routine is just an extravaganza of wonderfulness. Another front aerial, like we saw from Vasilyevna. This is my favorite part. 2 forward rolls, immediate Korbut. Glorious. And the whole time, she is on releve. Her toe point's exquisite. Her poses, so good. Round off double full, perfect. Of course, she did the triple full earlier in the season, but wasn't getting all the way around. Really good job from Emelianchik. So the Soviets did a pretty good job on beam. Of course, Mostepanova had that big break, and Vasilyevna was a bit short on her dismount, but other than that, I thought they were really solid. They obviously were the class of the field in terms of variety, originality, innovation, beauty, extension, line, just everything gymnastics should be about, in my opinion, they showed. Those were 6 extremely high quality routines, and each one was so different from the next. Each gymnast has her own signature style and look on beam that I absolutely love. Kolesnikova is completely different from Shushunova, who is worlds apart in difference from Yurchenko, who's completely different to Vasilyevna. You know, you get the point. Each one is just so special in her own way. I get putting up Mostepanova 5th in terms of her reputation. I think she scored a perfect 10 in compulsories. So obviously at her peak, she is worthy of that 5th spot. But like I said, I think she was injured here. They probably knew she was injured, so I wouldn't have put her up 5th. But on beam, it's tricky because, like I said, they're all so good except for Shushunova. May she rest in peace. To me, Shushunova is clearly the weak link. I would have put her up first. But, you know, obviously Kolesnikova is the sacrificial lamb, so she has to go first. Like, honestly, Shushunova, the other 5 gymnasts were, like, in a completely different league, style-wise, to Shushunova. But, yeah, it is what it is. My lineup would have been Shushunova, Kolesnikova, Mostepanova, Vasilyevna, Yurchenko, and then Emelianchik. I absolutely agree with Emelianchik being last. She earned it. She was the European champion on beam, and she came through it. She scored a 9.9, so great job from Oksana. My main gripe with the beam lineup is that Yurchenko was up 3rd. She was so exquisite, so methodical, so unique, and so good on beam. That routine got a 9.9. She is so solid. She was the reigning world all-around champion. I mean, she had paid her dues. They could have put her up 5th on beam, right? And now we are on to floor. Again, up first is Vera Kolesnikova. Mount, whip, through to a tuck double back. It's hard to tell she went out of bounds there. But that is a relatively simple mount for a Soviet gymnast in 1985. Whip to double full. Little bit out of control on the lunge, but this dance is so good. Her posture is exquisite. Her line, so good. Beautiful poses. Dismounting with a pike double back. A little low on that landing, but she saved it. I love that ending. That turn is so cool. The thing about Kolesnikova is she improved so much. The next year she was doing so much more difficulty.
Second between 2 co-world champions. First pass, a whip through to a full in back out, which usually makes it very difficult to tumble. Triple twist, and she tumbles out.
What work?
Vasilyevna, this is her masterpiece, My Sweet and Tender Beast. The fact that she's up second is a war crime. I feel like even talking over this is an injustice to her. This is just a masterpiece. Mounts with a piked full in. Beautiful. Beautiful dance. Gorgeous height on that switch leap. This routine is so perfectly choreographed. And watch this, she'll do a 1.5 twist step out through a tuck double back. One of the first gymnasts to ever do that combination. So difficult. And here, just everything is combined so well. The work down on the floor, this handstand and pirouette. This is just a work of art. Double pike. Bit of a hop back there. And a little bit off with her music at the end. She didn't finish moving. I don't know. I don't think that's a deduction. But exquisite routine. Back in 1985, judges could only score in increments of 1/10. So she counted 2 9/8s and 2 9/9s. I definitely would have had it at 9/9. And up third is Natalia Vladimirovna with her Hernando's Hideaway. She gets right to it, mounting with a full in. Goes right back the other way. Back handspring whip, back handspring tuck double back. Great landing. The choreography of this routine is beautiful as well. The movements are so crisp. Yurchenko has the most gorgeous posture. You can't see me, but I'm trying to give a demonstration. Her back is just so straight and upright. And this dance is gorgeous. This is just a delight. Beautiful switch leap, the way she holds her leg into that handstand pirouette. Just that roll, just so divine. Just the little touches is what I love so much about this routine. Oh, beautiful kick. This is extraordinary work. Tuck double back, a little low, but she saved that landing. Her signature ending pose, I don't know if it's a signature ending pose, but that ending pose, so good. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Oh my gosh, that routine was so good. And up fourth is Olga Mostepanova. And she won the silver medal at 83 Worlds on floor. Very expressive and dramatic floor worker. Her piked full in, but look, she lands very low, has to take a step forward. Ugh. The Soviets do such an amazing job of matching the dance to the music, which seems like it should be such an easy concept, but a lot of people don't know how to do that. A forward dive roll and her middle pass didn't have the most difficulty, but there's a gorgeously controlled double turn. And like Yurchenko, she does that handstand pirouette. Setting up for her tuck double back. Good save on that landing. Again, great ending pose. Not as strong as her 83 routine, but I had some really strong, nice moments in there. And Mostepanova also scored a 9.925. The error on that mount was kind of significant. The rest of her team was good. The middle run didn't have quite as much difficulty, but 9.8 does seem kind of low. So I can see giving it a 9.9, but if she got a 9.925, that means she counted 110, which is kind of crazy, honestly. And we close with our co-world all-around champions. First, Oksana Milyanchik with her signature and trademark birdie routine. And like by Oksana, this is her signature masterpiece. Piked full in. She's in a little bit low so she couldn't tumble out of it like she would in other phases of this meet. And as Kathy Rigby Mason McCoy would say, this is where she takes off. The presentation is just first rate. Double full punch front into 1.5 twisting dive roll. Again, she was the first one to do back-to-back tumbling passes. Of course, as I said in my video about Oksana, she created so many innovations, namely her vault and that back-to-back tumbling, I think would be the two big ones. Double pike, back handspring layout, step out. Just terrific. She has such an exuberant style on floor that is just so, jubilant. I just love it. And you can see she got a perfect 10 for that. I mean, the mount was a little bit low, but I think the rest of the routine probably more than made up for it. You can be the judge of that, I guess. And closing the show is Elena Shushinova. Now watch this mount. It's a double layout. She is the first gymnast to ever compete that skill at a world championships. So difficult. And while Yelena is not the most graceful gymnast, I think her choreographers did a pretty good job. There's her Shushinova of disguising that. I think she sells this routine really well. And here's her signature pass. It's like a side somersault in and a 3/4 rollout. And while I don't like this routine as much as the two that came after it, it has some nice moments like here. Nice little pose before her dismount, tuck double back. Oh, perfect landing. Another great ending pose. Another great routine. And another perfect 10. So back-to-back 10s from Milyanchik and Shushinova. So this floor lineup, let's just say I had an epiphany of sorts. During optionals, Yurchenko was up 5th on vault and 3rd on bars, beam, and floor. And prior to today, I would have said that I completely agree with her being 3rd up on floor. But now, not so much. I feel beyond foolish that it's taken me literal decades to appreciate the masterclass that is Hernando's Hideaway. But it is such a gold mine. All the intricacies. It's a clinic in the art of floor working. So I have a pretty big issue with Baraksanova being up second and Yurchenko being up third. I personally feel like Mostepanova should have been up before both of them. I think the ideal lineup probably should have been Kolesnikova, Mostepanova, Baraksanova, Yurchenko, Emelianchik, Shushenova. But if I'm ranking the routines personally from least to most favorite, I think my list would go Shushenova, Kolesnikova, Mostepanova, Emelianchik, Yurchenko, and then Baraksanova being my very favorite. I love that My Sweet and Tender Beast so much. By the way, don't think I've forgotten. I know that I promised to make a Baraksanova video. It's going to come. I think I said it might be 2 months or 2 years. It will come eventually. It just has to be completely reworked now. Believe it or not, I've never really loved Yurchenko that much on floor until just now. I finally got it. Like, it all clicked for me finally. After all these decades, like, I see the light. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was so blind, but now I see. Yeah, I'm just obsessed. Hernando's Hideaway is my new favorite floor routine. I felt so bad that it took me so long to discover Anna Pavlova's 2006 floor routine. This situation with Yurchenko is even worse because I was completely familiar with the material, yet it went criminally underlooked and underappreciated. So I first got into Natalia Yurchenko circa 1999 when people were kind enough to make tapes for me that had meets on it that she competed in. Prior to that, I only knew of her vault from Gymnastics' Greatest Stars.
Natalia Yurchenko of the Soviet Union unveiled a new vault that would revolutionize the event.
And watch this, she just glides in and she'll do a round off onto the board and then a back dive with a full twist off the horse.
Look at it again now. Imagine what it would be like doing this back dive to the horse in order to take the full twister off of the horse. That's a phenomenal new vault.
Gymnastics' Greatest Stars is a terrific primer on the history of the sport. It was released by ABC, their Wide World of Sports, circa 1989 or so, and basically gives a rundown of the highlights of the sport up to that point. When I was coming up, we were always taught that the sport was basically Olga, Nadia, and Mary Lou, and it takes you through all of that. It's a fantastic resource. I will link to it in the bio. I cannot recommend it highly enough. And like I said, it was all that I had of gymnastics prior to Barcelona, so I cherish it immensely. Just when I think I couldn't possibly love Natalia Yurchenko anymore, it turns out that I can, and I do. I recently posted a 3-part tribute to her career on Instagram and here on my community page. She's a legend, she's an icon, and she is the moment. So let's talk about these Soviet lineups and optionals. I created a point system where I gave 1 point for each position in the lineup on each event. I added up the total for each gymnast, and this is where things started to get interesting for me. For optionals, both Emelianchik and Mostepanova have 19 points. Shushenova is at 16, Yurchenko 14, Baraksanova 12, and poor Kolesnikova 4. It's very curious to me that Mostepanova wound up being pulled from the all-around, despite, on paper, it looking like she was set up to qualify for the final. And this has been driving me crazy for years because I cannot figure out the missing link. I wonder if it's possible that once they arrived in Montreal, she injured herself or exacerbated a prior injury, something to reconcile the fact that her lineup positions are higher than Yurchenko's. Part of me wonders if they thought maybe it would just be a bad look to pull out the reigning world all-around champion who had qualified to the all-around final with the top score on the team, because overall, Yurchenko was fourth, at least in terms of lineup positions. Now, I completely agree that out of the four, Emelianchik, Shushinova, Yurchenko, and Mostepanova, it makes the most sense to pull Olga. But why was she up after Yurchenko on every event but vault? It's just, the math isn't mathin'. In an interview years later, Olga stated that she understood head coach Andrei Radionenko's decision, as Yelena and Oksana had competed better in optionals. Well, except for the whole Oksana falling off bars part, but there's no arguing that Oksana was objectively the superior optionals competitor. However, Olga was disappointed that she didn't get to compete in event finals because she thought she stood a good chance at winning a medal, and I agree with that. I do feel bad for Olga. In the scenario where Yurchenko is pulled instead of her, if she had just merely repeated her performances and scores that she had gotten in optionals, she would have won the bronze. And she had a lot of room to improve, especially on balance beam. I don't think it's that far-fetched to say that she had a shot at the title. She also didn't get to compete in the bars final despite qualifying. As she had been pulled from the all-around due to injury, she was ineligible to compete in any subsequent finals that she had qualified for. Thank goodness this is no longer the rule, because both Olga and Irina really got jobbed back in '85. Basically, the moral of the story is per country limits are inhumane, evil, dastardly, abhorrent, and a fate I would not wish on my worst enemy. They should absolutely be abolished, in my humble opinion. It's kind of sad that this was how her career ended, for the most part, or in terms of in a big competition. This was the last meet that she competed in. As one of the all-time great champions, it's kind of sad that this is how she went out. Like I said, I made a video in this vein about 83 Worlds, and I fawn over Mostepanova in that video, so you can go ahead and watch that if you want. Because I really didn't show her a lot of love in this video, and I apologize because she really is one of my favorite gymnasts. I love Mostepanova, but I just don't think she was at her best during these optionals, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe I'll put in a clip of her compulsory beam here to make up for it. I hope you guys enjoyed rewatching this meet with me. I had a lot of fun. I made some new discoveries. Again, Yurchenko's floor, mind blown. Anytime I watch a meet and see a new discovery or have a new epiphany, it's always a great time for me. So that was definitely accomplished. I will see all of you guys in my next one. Hopefully it won't be so long. I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. Da Skorova. Bye, loves.